And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Friday afternoon, the first day of August. July is in the books. And it went down as being a month that was pretty close to normal temperature-wise and just a little bit below normal precip-wise, at least here in the Fargo area. But many areas had above normal precip in the month of July. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette, back from a busy day yesterday. Have you had any time to relax?
Nope. There's plenty to get done today. I don't think there's really much downtime for any of us right now, particularly in ag.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'll tell you what, we've got some halfway decent weather out there. If there's always an if we didn't have the smoke out there. Temperature wise, it's been really nice with temperatures in the 70s, very pleasant, lower humidity. But we've got smoke that continues in the area today, and that will continue through the daytime hours for the rest of today and into tomorrow as well. About 79 today we'll top out at with breezy conditions out of the southeast, about 10 to 20. And then partly cloudy tonight. Still some smoke in the air with lows in the upper 50s. And for Saturday, looks like a dry day. If you have outdoor plans, you should be good to go, with highs in the upper 70s. A little breezier out of the southeast, 10 to 25. I think the smoke will start to lift out of here as we head into Sunday. Before that, we'll see some showers and storms Saturday night, and on and off storms Sunday late in the day, and then scattered storms Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Kind of again, this is that active part of the LRC cycle. We said that first week in August was going to be a little more active, and sure enough, that's exactly what's happening as we see a heat ridge start to build into the area as we head into next week. Now, with the heat building in, we will also push the smoke out of our area. So that's good news there. But we replace it with the heat and humidity. So you give up one and you get the other. So I'd rather have the heat and humidity. This smoke is getting old.
I would say that it's probably far worse for the people who are right up next to the fires. But at this point, this is what we get. And frankly, we had a pretty smoky summer. I think it was 2 years ago. Uh, yeah, it happens. There's going to be some major shift changes even wildlife when you think about elk and bear and so forth that are losing their homes. This is the type of weather that does allow us to see more elk in this region because they start working their way down south as they try to escape the heat and fires as well. So we'll see what that looks like come fall. That's how we've gotten a couple of unusual animals, including more moose this far south.
That makes sense. Yeah, I don't see this changing as we head into fall. Unfortunately, there's so many wildfires burning in Saskatchewan and Manitoba that's where our weather is coming from.
Yeah, also parts of the Northwest Territories and even in Ontario. And so when you look at a fire map, you will see just absolutely millions of acres. And so when we hear the question, why doesn't somebody do anything about it? And frankly, where would you begin? You really need Mother Nature to take control because at this point, you don't have an effective method by man in order to try to stop those wildfires, by air or anything like that. So they will burn out eventually, but unfortunately, that is just the situation we're in right now. Mother Nature takes care of things first.
Yep. And well, hopefully, as we head into winter time, we can get a fresh snowpack, and then next spring is going to be important too. We get some much needed rain. I mean, hopefully we can put a dent in this fall with some wetter conditions off into the provinces of Canada. But boy, it's been so dry, and it's just all the ingredients came together at the wrong time, and this is what we get.
Yes. Now, if you by chance are going to be indoors because you wanted to stay out of the smoke this weekend, you have an opportunity to do a little online shopping. Vold Auctions out of Britton, South Dakota are doing an auction for a local farmer down there and selling some vintage tractors. So on here I see a lot of, say, Johnny Poppers, those older style John Deere, some of the more vintage ones, the A's, the G's, etc. But then also a tremendous amount of toy tractors. So there's over 1,000 lots on this auction. The auction is being done by, again, Vold Auctioneers. It is the Richard Anderson online only estate auction. A lot of collectibles. And even though the full-size tractors might be mostly John Deere's. I am looking at the toy tractors right now and seeing everything from John Deere to Case and so much more. So I see things like, even in the full-size tractors, he's got quite a collection of the Rumleys, the Ferguson, Farmalls, and then of course the John Deere's, the B's, the A's, the G's, etc. So if you're interested in that, take a little look. There might be a treasure that you don't have and might need. I also saw wheel weights for those of you who might be in need of some of those. So go find your unique favorite thing to shop for and bring home. And then additionally, don't forget to mark your calendars for coming up on August 5th, because we're going to August now. South Dakota Cattlemen's will be hosting their regional roundup in Gettysburg on August the 5th. That'll be at Bob's Steakhouse. I sort of just love that name. If you're going to have a steakhouse, why shouldn't you be named Bob's? And they will have a steak dinner, also followed by South Dakota State Extension will be talking about the benefits of EID in livestock management, and they'll actually get the hands-on workings with using the wand, a scale head, and also various types of tagging systems. So that, again, will be August 5th at 5:30 in Gettysburg at Bob's Steakhouse. So those are just a couple of things going on in the region right now. There's always something fun that's happening around the area. So some of you might be attending rodeos. This summer, there's probably been several that you have been to. Well, if you have noticed, the pickup men in the arena, and by pickup men, I mean those folks who are on horseback. Usually they're wearing some pretty long chaps. Their job is, if a cowboy or cowgirl gets into trouble, is to pick them up and extract them from the situation. Perhaps you got hung up in your rigging in the saddle bronc or bear bronc riding or bull riding, etc. So that's what the pickup men do in the arena. But also they've started a campaign called the Yellow Feather. And what that is about is they wear yellow feathers in their hat bands to signify they're there to help. This was started by a family from White River, South Dakota, who lost their son to underage drunk driving. And since then, they wanted to help make a difference so that people could find a place to go when it came to looking for help with addiction, but also with mental health. And the pickup men, well, they're a perfect symbol for that yellow feather campaign. They wear the feather to signify that they are willing to help someone who may need it. And that can range from a friendly face to talk to, who can help point you in the right direction if you need help with addiction. Sometimes it might be just as simple as making sure you get a sober and safe ride home where you need to be going. So the Yellow Feather campaign for pickup men is launched. You will see it especially in South Dakota this year, but I think we'll probably see that likely at a number of other rodeos, especially as pickup men travel from rodeo to rodeo and work different areas. I think it's a great way for people to see what is best for them and to see where they can find help in a very easy manner, right? All you have to do is see the yellow feather. So nice work to that group.
And for, that's it. People need to be more aware of that too. No doubt about it.
All the time, right? Because I think most folks don't think about that right off the bat, but that yellow feather might now be something that signifies to them more of a longer thought process. Do I need help? Do I know someone else who needs help? And what can the pickup men do to not only help in the arena, but outside of it as well?
No doubt. No doubt. Well, we got a couple of guests coming on today. We got more than one. What we just had, we had a plethora yesterday. We've got a few more today.
Mm-hmm.
And
things are very, very busy for Weather and Ag in Focus.
Yes, they are. So who do we have today, Bridgette?
First guest will be joined by Thad Thorsness. Thad is with Thor Buildings. We're going to talk about that post-frame construction, especially what's going on in timelines for getting builds done post-storms that we had there in June. And then second guest that we're going to have is Ben Klemen. Ben took second place in a national competition, and that is the Skills USA National Leadership and Skills Conference. Nationally, he took second in welding. It's not necessarily a skill everybody thinks about, but it's pretty vital, especially when I consider as tradesmen how much more we need of those folks at all times in our areas, right? Someday my plumber's going to retire, and I don't know how often I'm going to be able to find a plumber when I need them. And I think that goes for all trades, whether it's carpentry, welding, HVAC and so much more. So yeah, we'll talk to Ben about his experience.
Now, when you were in high school, and
Hmm.
when I was in high school, and I don't know if you guys had it at your school, we had to take some kind of like a shop class or something with a trade for at least a semester. Did you guys? Because I don't think they do that anymore, do they?
It depended on your state. In North Dakota, we did in that time frame I was in high school, you
Right.
needed one semester in ag and one semester actually in what was it then home ec.
Okay.
So you had to get both sets of skills.
Because, like you said, there's so many people that need to get back in the trade industry, welding, plumbing, carpentry, whatever. We really need
Yeah.
those people, and they should institute that back in high school just to give the kids an idea of what it's like. They might end up loving it.
I really hope that with Ben, he tells me that he's going into an industry down the road that is going to put those skills to use. I don't want this just to be a one and done type of thing. So I'm excited to see what he has to share.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, first we'll have Thor coming up after the break. We're going to take a look at markets, and then after that, we'll bring on Ben after the bottom of the hour. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I hope you didn't miss your chance to talk to Chris Sherman yesterday at Ag PhD Field Day. He was there. He took the main stage at 2 o'clock, but then additionally had a booth. And Chris was happy to answer all of your technology questions. And there were quite a lot, such as how to protect ourselves and watch out for phishing schemes, as well as what do we need to do to change our email addresses and so forth on the farm so we have less opportunity for someone to do malware, ransomware, etc. So if you have those questions, talk to Chris Sherman, techsupportfarm.com. All right, we get an opportunity today to talk with Thad Thorsness with Thor Buildings, and Thad's on the phone with us. And all right, Thad, since the big storms of June 20th, how does everything look? Are you guys on schedule for building? What if someone lost a machine shed and they need to talk to you about rebuilding?
Yeah, we're still on schedule. I mean, we still do a lot of commercial work, so we've been able to go out and help a lot of the farmers out and do some repairs on machine sheds, rebuild some new ones, and we're taking on a few more. So yeah, we can still probably add in a few more here or there in between, because especially with our commercial work, always waiting on permits or stuff. So we're pretty good at being able to fit those in. And one thing we really do run on schedule. We don't run behind or say, hey, we're going to be there and not show up. So we're very good about that part.
When it comes to putting up some of these buildings, it doesn't always have to be just the portion for you that can be maybe running short from time to time if you were running short of steel or anything like that, but other subcontractors can too. Are all of your supplies working out smoothly? There's been a lot of talk about tariffs on lumber out of Canada or steel. Everybody doing okay so that allows you to keep your time frame going well?
Yeah, we buy a little different than a lot of the guys. We kind of buy train cars of lumber that we need. So we're never really waiting on lumber. The tariffs haven't really hurt us this year because we really kind of planned ahead for it, and we've been able to hold all the steel in check so far. And actually, we haven't seen one increase yet this year on steel prices.
And Thad, we were talking before the break about how we need more people in trades, whether it's carpentry, plumbing, welding, all that stuff. With the buildings, are you looking to hire anybody if people are thinking of getting into that trade?
Yeah, we're always looking for people that really want to come in and work hard and create a career of it. And we've done a very good job of finding new people all the time. And we're always hiring. We're always looking and hoping we'll find someone else, that really wants to learn a trade or, been in the trade and wants to come to a place that really values their employees. And, we really look at it, employees are your number one asset, so and you have to treat it that way because, without employees, you're a one-man show.
Speaking of trades, but I'm going to ask about trade area. If folks are listening, because we do live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV at WDAY, Weather and Ag in Focus, folks can be watching us all across the U.S. and Canada. Are you fenced in any way with that, or can you send crews where the project is going to go?
For the farmers, we travel a little farther than everybody else. We'll go out about 150 miles for ag. Commercially, we don't really go much further than like a 60, 70 mile radius. And then when we are willing to do some shelses, which we keep to a limit, we don't really go much more than 50 miles just because we really like to control all parts of a shelse. And, all of our jobs, we want to make sure we have the best people working with us. And so we try to limit it. But the ag farmers, we do go out further than any other part of it. Like I said, that 150 miles we've went up to for taking care of the farmers and ranchers.
Can you describe, and those ranchers, because you might be thinking about machine sheds or barns. And when you're doing that process, can you describe the benefit of doing the post frame construction? That's the specialty for Thor Buildings.
Well, the advantage of post frame, over your traditional stick framing, you can save on a lot of lumber by using post frame, you really use higher quality lumber than your stick frame because you're using, like, especially for us, we're using, some of the highest grade lumber for strength and stiffness, so that we can, so you're actually using less lumber. You're using a higher grade lumber, and then you're covering it with steel on the inside and outside for steel sheeting. So there can be a lot of cost advantages over your traditional stick framing, or compared to steel framing, which has been drastically affected by tariffs right now. So we are much more affordable than your traditional steel frame building. But then we build some hybrids too, where like we're building a 150 wide clear span for the city of West Fargo here this fall, and that's wood poles and wood purlins and wood wall grids, but then it's steel trusses. So we're kind of mixing the two things together to help keep that cost down and yet be able to build a lot bigger than traditionally you could. The widest we've ever gone or will go with a traditional wood is 100, but then when we do a hybrid, we can go up to 150.
So 150, you said, is the span. That's massive. I don't know an easy way to put that into perspective. That's like 2 semi-van trailers parked nose to nose at a 50 on a 53-foot reefer. Impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're kind of a specialty building, but we're able to do it, and we're able to still do it much more cost effective than your traditional steel frame building in this market today.
I was going to ask if you do any unique projects. Maybe that 150-foot span is one of the most unique you've touched, or are there others?
Well, there's others. We're building a farm shop up in the Ewan area, and he's putting a shop floor pit in, but he's got a hydraulic floor in it, so that when you're not using it, instead of just covering it up, you hit a button and then the floor raises up and closes up that pit with a hydraulic floor. So more for safety, and then plus so many people with a shop pit, they forget to put the covers on and stuff like that, where now you just hit a button and you close it up. So that's another unique one that we're one of the first ones we're doing in that area.
I would say that you're right. If sometimes we forget to do things, we get in a little bit of a hurry, and I think you just made it a lot easier on someone to not have a further problem if they forgot the covers. Yeah. So that sounds great.
That happens quite often. Don't put the cover in and someone falls in the hole.
Whoopsie. Thad, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the time you take and the quality of buildings that you do at Thor Buildings.
Thank you guys. You guys have a great weekend.
You do too. And for those who are listening, we're going to touch on the bottom of the hour news. And when we return, we'll certainly be happy to take your calls and questions on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. We'll be joined by Ben Klemen, who took second place in a national welding competition for high school students, right after this. We are progressing towards harvest with Here We Grow 2025. It won't be long before the wheat comes off the field and makes it to more wheat seed. I would say it's going to be a loaf of bread, but no, ours is going to be back into wheat seed for next year. Thank you to Peterson Farm Seed for working with us on this project, as well as our farm cooperators. That would be Jim and Michael Hewlin. Also, I've had a lot of drone sprayer questions. There's a lot of activity going on in the field right now with drones spraying fungicide in a variety of areas. If you have a need in between all of these rain showers we've been getting for a drone spraying service, talk to Higher Drone Services. Matthew and Eleanor would be happy to help you out. Again, that's Higher Drone Services, and they're down in that Leonard, North Dakota area. Our guest today is going to throw some sparks at the competition, and that is Ben Klemen. Ben is here to talk about a Skills USA contest where he took second place. And so, Ben, tell us a little about you first, who you are, where you're from.
Well, it's good to be here. I'm from Argusville, North Dakota, so just north of Fargo here. And I recently graduated North Dakota State College of Science in Fargo with an associate's in welding technology. I am looking at this coming fall being the adjunct instructor for that program as well.
Ooh, that is not where I was expecting you to go with your future plans. And now I'm even more excited to ask questions. Okay.
Go for it.
So tell us about the contest. So this was a college level contest. It was through Skills USA. What are the things that you know about Skills USA, and how did you get involved in competing?
So National Skills USA is an organization for high schools, middle schools, and colleges of just kind of a whole-centered skilled trades conference and event, just organization. So schools from all around the country have regional, state level, and a national competition showcasing skills in trades, nursing, a lot, like there's like 82 different competition categories. So it's just like a whole organization of just showcasing people's abilities. And I got into it in 2023 when I was taking a dual credit class at NDSCS Fargo. And my professor was like, hey, there's this welding competition that's coming up. You want to try it? So I said, sure, why not? So 2023, I competed at the state level, and I won. I went to Atlanta for the national competition, and I placed 39th in 2023. I went again in 2024 and got 10th, and then this year, as the second year in my college career, I got second place.
And Ben, how do they grade you? Like, I mean, how do you go from 39th to 20-something to second? How do they grade the project that you're doing?
So they grade it as like adherence to a blueprint. So we're given a box of metal parts, just rectangles, triangles, whatever they have. We're given a blueprint. So we have to take the box of parts, build the project, and then weld it according to the blueprint. So they judge on accuracy to the measurements, weld size, quality, visual appearance, speed, efficiency, just about anything you can think of, really.
Interesting.
So it's a timed event?
Yes. The way they have it broken down at the national competition is there are 6 one-hour-long competitions. So there is solid wire, flux core wire, stick, TIG, oxyplasma cutting, and then visual inspection.
That was all foreign language to me, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
So there's 6 different categories that they test us on, and we're given an hour for each competition. So we're tested on just about everything that you can think of when it comes to welding, and it's just so chaotic. 1 hour is not enough time.
I bet. Okay, so we should probably go back because, like you said, you gave the definitions, and I graduated from NDSU as an ag teacher, and I had to take an industrial welding class. Plus, I grew up farming, so I know what stick, TIG, all of those are. But can you give just a little bit of a definition of those for those who do not?
Yeah. So
Like me?
wire welding is probably the most common. It's used in production, so making egg equipment. I worked for 2 production companies, and we were running wire. It's just high-speed efficiency welding. Stick welding is more of the in-the-field repair work. So a lot of service trucks, for when equipment breaks down, you'll see them running stick welding because you can do it out in the field. And then TIG welding is...
And stick welding is literally like the old-fashioned rod
Yep.
in the holder,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
and you're applying heat and you're having to weld, and you're welding, you know, two-handed. Then if you're thinking about wire welding, you have a gun in your hand or a trigger that automatically feeds wire and applies heat so that it's a continuous feed. You don't have to stop and change sticks, that
Yep.
type of thing.
Yep.
Okay. So keep going. Just got to make sure we're clear.
That's fine. And then TIG welding. TIG welding is it's a very high quality process. They use it for like aerospace construction and fabrication. It's very, very detailed. And then there was oxyacetylene and plasma cutting. So there are 2 different kinds of cutting processes. Oxyacetylene is just fire. You just heat the metal up and blow it away. Plasma is the electric version of that. So they tested it on the cutting as well as the welding. And then visual inspection, just kind of grading welds according to the industry standards.
Ooh, cutting is tough.
Yeah, you're right about that one.
Is that the hardest part of welding, would you say?
Cutting?
Yeah.
It depends.
Okay.
Honestly, I'd say welding is probably the harder part.
Okay.
You can cut and grind it to whatever you need to, but it's not easy.
Now, Ben and I were talking during commercial break, and I was asking Ben, you know, there's a lot of and I said, no offense, there's a lot of kids, because I'm much older, that aren't getting into the trade industry, whether it be welding, plumbing, carpentry. What made you get into welding?
Well, it was my sophomore year of high school, and I had an egg mechanics class. And it was just kind of like a generalized, like, here's a little bit of electrical work, here's a little bit of plumbing work, here's a little bit of welding work. And for some reason, that welding section just stuck with me. I had way too much fun.
That's good.
So I took that class, and then they had a egg welding class that was the next semester. So I took that, and honestly, I just took it from there. I had a lot of fun. The teacher was really, really nice. I mean, all I could ask for. Nice teacher, great program. So I just took it and ran. And then I found a dual credit welding class at NDSCS Fargo. And the high school teacher that got me into welding knew enough, but he was kind of limited. So the dual credit class kind of gave me the opportunity to get that higher teaching knowledge from the professors. So I took that my senior year of high school, and after that 1 year, I was like, this is it. This is kind of what I want to do. This is too much fun not to do it. So then in the fall of 23, I enrolled for a 2-year associates in welding technology.
And now you get to pass your knowledge on to students like yourself when you first got into it.
Yeah, I was not expecting it. I was getting up to graduation, and my professor had mentioned adding an adjunct instructor position because he's kind of wanting to change the program up a little bit. And the need just came up for an adjunct instructor, and he said I should apply. So I applied, like, oh, maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. I mean, who's going to hire a recent graduate to teach a program they graduated from, right? And then I got the call saying I got the position, and I was shocked, but I'm very happy. I'm looking forward to it.
I bet. It's always nice to pass your knowledge on to people that are interested, kids that are interested in welding. So that's
absolutely,
because they'll look up to you then, just like you look up to your high school teacher who got you interested in it.
And that's kind of the whole goal. I mean,
right.
You need people to help push you into stuff.
You know, when people think about welding, and one of the first things that comes to mind is probably like red iron. You're welding frames together for industrial buildings, that type of thing. You may also think about farm equipment, just like Ben mentioned, where there's more, wire welding that probably takes place. Had a friend uh, many years ago who actually he was a welder. He was professionally contracted with a variety of companies, and he worked in places like, and I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, he worked in places such as that had refrigeration units where you had to be careful working around freon, which is explosive, or he worked in a factory that created toilet paper. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute, because toilet paper literally creates fuzz off the roll, and that lint is flammable. So he always talked about safety. And was that any part of your competition, Ben, that you had to practice in that very chaotic 1 hour, some high intensity safety to go along with what you were doing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sparks are flying all day. Uh, that's one of the categories that we were judged on. Is they've got judges going through doing safety and like in progress judging, so making sure that we're doing everything safely and properly. And I mean, it's a very big chunk because welding is not friendly.
There's some
Competition,
hazards, you might say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Molten metal flying around isn't
All right.
exactly safe. So, yeah, safety was a very big thing. I mean, fully dressed in FR clothing, helmets, gloves, everything to cover every part of skin.
How many competitors were in the competition where you took second?
There was 35, one from
Okay.
most of the states.
Okay. And when you talked about the hands-on production demo, et cetera, part of it, following the blueprints, was there also a written test, or was everything true fabrication?
There was a written test prior to the competition, so like a week beforehand, they sent out a link to just a general welding knowledge test.
Okay. Now, as someone who's going to be an instructor, it's not often you have a lot of females in the program. And when I was in high school and in my high school welding class, one of the things we were often told was that women actually generally were better welders, or certainly could lay the better bead, because their upper body strength and the way that they balance was better for them than most guys. Have you noticed that in classes when you've had women in the class with you?
Oh, absolutely. I had a class of 8 when I was in college. 3 of them were girls, and I had a very hard time beating them in some of the tests that we had.
Really? That's
Yeah.
There were
cool.
some that I lost to females. So absolutely. I mean,
So
it's fun working with them.
it really is, and you guys can really trade off in different aspects of what has to get done. The best question to ask you, though, is, so which one's your favorite out of all of those different parts of the competition, and or what you'll be teaching? Which is the one that you're like, yeah, today we do this?
That'd definitely be TIG welding. It's just
Ah.
I have control over everything. Heat, speed, everything. It's just one of those, I can fine tune anything I want, however I want processes. So that's definitely what I look forward to.
Well, if you, besides being the adjunct professor, I have a feeling that you may get phone calls from people who say, I have this little project. If you've got time to stop by, maybe you could weld this up for me real quick.
It's already started.
Well, there you go. That's a skill that not everybody has, Ben, but you have certainly mastered it. Thanks for talking about the competition. I hope at this point, someone who maybe had an inkling or a spark about welding, you've lit it up for them.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Ben. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And best of luck too teaching.
Thank you.
You know, it's I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I will.
So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to do another recap of the weather, and Bridgette's got a couple of ag topics to go over as well. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. And temperatures outside 76 degrees right now. We'll warm up a few more degrees into the upper 70s with hazy sunshine with that smoke mixed with a few clouds out there. But it'll be a dry day today. And then tonight, still areas of smoke, 57. And then the weekend, Saturday looks dry and still a little bit of smoke with highs in the upper 70s. Sunday looks like a better chance for storms coming in, especially late in the day. And then Sunday night and Monday look kind of wet. And Tuesday and Wednesday also a chance for scattered showers and storms as well. So again, like I said, we're getting into this active part. And we said right in that first 7 to 10 days of August, that was going to be part of the active part of the LRC cycle. And here we go. So we're going to catch up on some rain for areas that haven't seen it over the last couple of weeks. And this weather is brought to you by Progressive Ag Risk Management Specialists. Now, hopefully, Bridgette, we can curtail the severe weather, but I do believe as we get deeper into next week, I'm looking at Tuesday night onward, as the heat builds in, we're probably going to see some of those storms turn severe. So something we'll definitely keep an eye on towards the middle of next week.
So Tuesday night, I am literally hosting a banquet in a field in Minot.
Of course you are.
Of course I am. Yes. So is there any way you could possibly work around that? Because I'd like to not be chasing down tablecloths in a field during a severe weather outbreak.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We'll see if we can keep it to your south.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Sorry to the folks in like McHenry County. Now, we've been talking about skills, trades, and so many more things, but behind the scenes, we're all having conversations too. So Addison, who is our sound engineer, Addison, could you please tell me about the working RV that the unsupervised senior class built in your high school ag department?
Yeah, so we were talking earlier, well, you guys were talking earlier about like schools and shops and like if they still do and don't. So I graduated in 2017. I won't say exactly where I went to school, but my school paid a lot of money to have a very nice shop built for the school the last couple of years I was there. But tragically, they were never able to get a shop teacher, though. But they still let you sign up for shop if you wanted to take it. So it was basically a free hour every day, and you were allowed to sign up for multiple shop classes every day. I didn't do a lot the last 2 years of my high school life. So it was just a bunch of unsupervised children in a shop with the bandsaws and the welding torches, and someone even found an entire box of like CO2 cartridges, and we ended up making like a racetrack for like CO2 powered cars, like just out of our own free will because we had nothing else to do. And the class a year above me, they ended up in the last couple months of the school year, just out of sheer boredom, they decided they were going to make a fully functional like RV. And they did, and it was pretty impressive, and I'm pretty sure they built the entire thing out of just scrap metal and spare parts, and it even had working plumbing. It had a working toilet.
See? It's ingenuity, and they figured out how they could do it. That's not all bad about free thinking, right? Let's build this.
Genius.
Let's make it happen.
Genius.
Yeah.
And it only took a couple CO2 cartridges to the head for someone to get the idea to build an RV.
Yes. And we can make fun of all this, except I was in a supervised ag program, and we still did stupid things because that's what kids do. So just like Ben was talking about, things happen when you're in a welding shop, because why wouldn't it when you're working with hot metal that you'd chip your hot slag at somebody else, burn a hole in their jeans, burn their leg. Yep. You know, if you're stick welding, but you knew to strike the metal when they didn't have their helmet down yet, and you'd pretty much flash blind everybody. Yeah, we were geniuses. I can't believe we all came out with all our appendages.
You know, to be like a high school shop teacher or something like that, you've got to have a special kind of patience, or just...
I was going to do that.
Oh, shit. Oh, you would have cracked the whip. There's no way.
Yeah.
Man.
Yes. Yeah, well, there's many stories. We'll get to those another day.
Yeah, we could take a whole show at that. So for Bridgette and myself, we want to thank you for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.